Quiet.
Mr. President-elect,
Go ahead.
can you state
She's asking a
categorically,
question. Don't
Mr.
be
President-elect, can you give us a question?
Don't be
You are
rude.
attacking us. Can you give us a question?
Don't be rude.
Can
No,
you
I'm
give
not
us a
going to give you a
question?
question. I'm not going to give you a question.
Can you state categorically?
You are fake news.
Sir.
I'm Dr. Dave Janda. Welcome back to Dave versus the MSM. I'd like to thank you for joining me today, and thank you for networking our video and our information to anyone you know and love. Gosh knows, it sure won't happen through YouTube. They won't send out the notifications. They won't send out... So it's up to you to network this information. And also to join us at davejanda.com with extra shows, content, guests, analysis. This is just one of the 5 other shows I do, plus the 3-hour radio show every week. And all of our content that you'll not get any other place is at davejanda.com. And the purpose of that content is to put you months, and we have the track record to prove this, put you months and years, in some cases a decade, ahead of the globalist constructed curve that ends in a brick wall with the shattering of your freedoms, your liberties, your future, your life, and our constitutional republic. Many people believe that that is hyperbole, what I just said. No, it's a point of fact. And that's the big problem in the freedom movement. We have drastically under-emphasized the evilness of our adversary, the deep state, the globalist cult, the globalist syndicate, the New World Order crowd, the criminal international banking syndicate, the deep state, the shadow government. They're all the same. A relatively small, worldwide, at the very top, probably we're talking a couple thousand at most people in the banking syndicate families that are running this freedom stripping show. They call us useless eaters, because we're utilizing resources that are only meant for them. But because of their benevolence, they're allowing us, the little people, to use their resources until they deem fit that we should then we should evaporate. I kid you not. The first time I heard this term, useless eaters, I was at a meeting in a big white building in Washington, D.C. Government thing, because I was doing healthcare policy stuff, and it was in the early 90s. And they were laughing about this, useless eaters. And I went to the person who had been in D.C. much longer than I had, and I said, what's this useless eater thing? What are they talking about? That would be you and me, Dave, and 99% of the population. So I do think that we do not do a good job in the freedom movement of identifying how horribly sinister and horribly evil our adversaries are and how they will stop at nothing in their freedom-stripping agenda. Winston Churchill said the following, quote, "If you will not fight for right when you can easily win without bloodshed, if you will not fight when your victory is sure and not too costly, you may come to the moment when you will have to fight with all the odds against you and only a precarious chance, and precious, of survival. There may even be a worse case. You may have to fight when there is no hope of victory, because it is better to perish than to live as slaves," end quote. What did George Washington say? "I will die on my feet before I will live on my knees." Well, we're getting to that point, folks. And the reason we've gotten to this point is because too many people have sat on the couch, too many people have been complacent, and too many people have allowed these psychopathic criminals that make up the deep state to continue to push their agenda. Now, as I mentioned, we have them outnumbered by the billions. The only way they can accomplish their goals and objectives is for us, as Churchill pointed out, to sit back and do nothing. Well, you're not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. We haven't been doing that, although we know a lot of people who have been doing that. And it's time that we rattle their cages. One way you can rattle their cage is by providing this video to them. I want to give you a couple of quotes from deep state players of how they think of us to maybe serve as a little motivation. And maybe the people you're giving this video to wake up a little bit. Quote, "It's not a matter of what is true that counts, but a matter of what is perceived to be true." That was by Hank Kissinger, who's now burning in hell, the globalist cult psychopath. Oh, he had a bunch of other beauties. Let me hit you with some of Hank's beauties. "The illegal we do immediately, the unconstitutional takes a little longer. Who controls the food supply controls the people." Maybe that adds up why all these food processing facilities in the past couple of years have been going, right? "Who controls energy can control whole continents. Who controls money, like the Federal Reserve, central banks, a criminal banking syndicate, can control the world." He told you right there. There's their playbook. Hank again, quote, "The one thing man fears is the unknown. When presented with this scenario, individual rights will be willingly relinquished for the guarantee of their well-being granted to them by the world government, a new world order," end quote. Kind of like what we've experienced since 2019, isn't it? Well, for decades before that, but of late, right? Prime example. And then there's this one. Good old Hank again. Quote, "The elderly," it's not just elderly, they see us, all of us, "are useless eaters," end quote. But Kissinger was quoted in the book The Final Days as saying that. Now, unless you think it starts and stops with Hank Kissinger, who's currently burning in hell, or with David Rockefeller, who's burning in hell, or Jacob Rothschild, who recently, is down there burning in hell. You'll think, "Oh, well, they're all taken care of. God's seeing to that. So, hey, well, Shocking poll exposes how much the elite hate us." This from Paul Joseph Watson. "A shocking poll exposes the utter contempt the elite, the cult, holds the general publican, with more than 3/4 of the cult wanting to ration food," what did we say in those quotes? "Food and energy to combat climate change, and a majority wanting air travel for holidays banned for the public." Not for them, but for us. The survey was conducted by the Committee to Unleash Prosperity, a Maryland-based nonprofit advocacy group. The organization polled members of America's 1%. Who might that be? Defined as people who have a postgraduate degree and an annual income of more than $150,000. 77% of the elite, and we use that term very loosely, who were asked, to fight climate change, would you favor or oppose the strict rationing of gas, meat, and electricity for the public? 77% said they would favor such a policy, as long as it didn't include them. That figure rises to even higher, to 89% amongst Ivy League, hold your nose in there, Ivy League graduates. Presumably, their wealth will ensure that they are exempt from such rationing, while poor people like all of us can just go whistle Dixie. In addition, 69% of this elite, in quotes, group wants to implement an immediate ban on gas stoves, while 81% want gas-powered vehicles for you and me and the public outlawed, but not for them. A majority also want the government to forbid the use of air conditioning and non-essential air travel, effectively outlawing vacations for all of us, but rules that presumably won't apply to their private jets and luxury compounds. Right. Now here's the good news. We've outlined the scum. We've done that for 14 years on the radio. Done it in my writings for 30-some years. But there was a movie, it was back in the 70s, I think, maybe early 80s, called Network. And The newscaster, once he finally gets up there and he goes, I'm mad as hell and I'm not going to take it anymore. Well, that's what's happening around the world. It's called the Great Awakening. And it's happening. And it scares the daylights out of these cult members. Right? Well, let's give you a couple inspiration points to feed off of so that it gives you a little added zip in your step when you go over to see your neighbor or your coworker or your family member and say, hey, watch this video. Or listen to this. Watch this. Here's some information for you. I printed it out for you. Rural Renaissance Venture Fund plans a new community in Appalachia to escape Soros-enabled hellhole cities. A majority of Americans, this is from Zero Hedge, are fed up with imploding progressive metro areas, transforming into violent crime hellholes because Soros-backed district attorneys refuse to enforce common sense law and order. Americans are tired of radicals in the, whatever you want to call this, Biden goat rodeo administration, who knowingly push for open southern borders. At the same time, taxpayer-funded non-governmental organizations facilitate the greatest invasion this nation has ever seen of unvetted individuals, some of whom are on the FBI's terror watch list. The president's Biden's collapsing polling data is a symptom the American people have rejected this mumbling, silent generation person occupying the Oval Office who should be in a nursing home or on a lazy boy recliner at his beach house in the elite-only beach town of Bethany. In recent years, the tyrannical overreach of the government during, this, BLM riots and nationwide violent crime eruption, plus the 30-year fixed mortgage rate under 3%, unleashed the greatest ever exodus of Americans from Democrat-controlled states and metro areas for safer areas in red states. The migration trends of that period are still happening today. However, an entirely new trend is emerging. A venture fund in rural Kentucky is building a new community for folks who want to escape all the chaos of progressive cities. Called the Highland Rim Project, Venture Fund New Founding is developing rural towns and communities nestled in the beautiful hills of the eastern Highland Rim area of Tennessee and Kentucky. An oasis, if you will, of sorts. But people are mad as hell, and they're not taking it. And they're forcing parts of the structure to take these cult members down. Trudeau's Orwellian attack on Canadian truckers have now been declared unconstitutional. Canada's federal court recently ruled that Prime Minister Justin Trudeau's use of Emergencies Act in 2022, now it took a couple years, but we got there, to punish protesting truckers was both unreasonable and unconstitutional. And then you have the old border goat rodeo that is not from an accident, not bad coincidences, not from incompetence, willful. Border Patrol agents will not remove the Texas razor wire barriers as was demanded by a court. Standing up. Like Churchill was talking about. German truckers team up with farmers to raise hell over disappearing fuel subsidies. And they shut it down. And it not just happened in Germany, not just happened in France, but in Romania, Holland, Belgium, Poland, Czech Republic. It happened across the board. Shut the syndicate and their agenda down. FBI seizures from safe deposit boxes, according to a federal court, violated the U.S. Constitution. Another hit. Yeah. But they don't want you to know about this. Because they want you despondent. They want you thinking that it's over. Oh, no, it's not. They want you to think that there's no resistance. Oh, there is. That's why if you rely on the bought-off lamestream fake media, you're not going to get it. It's not there. You won't hear about it. You won't know about it. You won't be inspired. You'll think you're this lone island who's sinking in, sinking islands. That doesn't happen very often, does it? Although Al Gore said it was going to happen to the entire world, didn't he, by 2000? Yeah, right. Here we are, 24 years later. Doing fine. My feet aren't even wet, Al. No. The FBI seizure from Zachary Stiver. The FBI seizure of contents from safe deposit boxes during a raid on Beverly Hills Vault in 2021, during the whole... violated the U.S. Constitution, a federal appeals court ruled. Well, that took 3 years, but at least we got it done. And as they see their agenda imploding, actually some of the puppet cult members are saying, oh, wait, no. Chicago Democrat demands officials nix the sanctuary city status as the migrant crisis overwhelms the city. Yeah. Part of the Great Awakening. Useless eaters unite. As Churchill told us. It's time. And you've already been awake. You've already been doing what's needed to push the freedom agenda. We'll keep pushing and keep pushing harder. Because you and me and those pushing for freedom are the white hats. There's nobody in Congress with a white hat. There's nobody in the military with a white hat that'll come knocking at your door. It's okay now. We fixed it. Come on out. Nope. We're the ones that have to get it done. That's simple. And we do it peacefully. That's what really bothers the syndicate. They want us to get nasty because that way they have a reason to imprison us. The fact that we're doing this peacefully and that we've already awakened tens of millions and moving toward hundreds of millions around the world and billions around the world, they have a hard time with this. And that's why you see them acting out. Yeah. All their little wars, they got big wars they got started in Ukraine and Middle East and coming attractions in Taiwan and domestically, you name the country, there's a demand. That's all because they're not winning. The useless eaters, you and me, are prevailing. And that's driving them nuts. So let's keep it going. Keep educating people. Keep empowering people. Keep talking to people. They want us isolated, sitting on our couch, not talk. Educate folks. No matter... And you're going to get pushback. Right. You will continue. But the pushback is getting less. Because many people that thought you were out there saw what you said, heard what you said, and then saw what you said coming is happening. And they're going, I thought they were off. I thought my uncle Dave was off on that, but whoa, it was way ahead of the curve. You know what? I got to find out what else he's saying now because I should have listened before. Boom. That's your entry point. I thank you for joining me today. We are available 24/7. I do 5 other shows a week plus my 3-hour radio show, which you can listen to free, by the way, by going to davejanda.com. Now, you want the podcasts, commercial free. They're available on the subscription side. $9 a month. Priceless content. We hope you become part of our Freedom family because then you have access. We have an email service with it too to notify folks of all of our content we're putting up. We put up 4 to 5 extra shows plus the 3-hour radio show every week of content you'll get no other place because I provide no content any other place. And it's based on the contacts that I have developed over the past 35 years behind the curtain that are fighting for freedom. That's how we get you ahead of the curve. Months, years, some cases decades. And you need to have that information. And we do it for the biggest bang in the buck of all the internet. We got to cover our costs because it takes thousands of dollars to run a website and make it secure. True. So we got to cover our costs. That's the $9. We hope you become part of our Freedom family and support what we're doing. Until next time, Dave Janda signing off. Dream big and dare to fail. Thanks for your time today.